Sean Hung, okay, he's here. Introduce yourself. I want to show this project that Sean did during COVID, and I think this computer is set up so no, it's wanting me to restart something. Sean, would it be possible for you to jump on your website and share the project you did during COVID?
Okay, no problem. Give me 1 minute.
Yep. And so the project that he did, I think he was trying to do something on race, in 2020 when COVID hit. And then, in those early days of COVID, we were really in lockdown, and San Francisco was like empty and terrifying, and students were kind of stuck here. And there was like no place to like get food or anything like that. I mean, there was, but it was like the city was this ghost town. And I remember Sean did a project that everything kind of shifted, and it became very much about his reality. And it was the one project that I remember truly seemed to capture the claustrophobia of the time. And to me, it was, here it is. How do I spend my time? And I remember there was another student of ours. Can you zoom in so we can kind of see the details? Yeah, that's it. And oh, that's it. And so it was, this kind of keeping track of every minute. I think he made a picture like every 10 minutes or every 15 minutes. And it really kind of captured that like aimlessness of the time and the fear of the time and the empty San Francisco of the time, and like relying on things like FaceTiming a friend or something like that as being your social interaction. And then can you show pull far away so we could see the entire scope of it? And with this project, there was also a visual splendor to it where, it kind of went from light to dark, and it echoed kind of that kind of keeping track of time that we were all doing at the time. And, to me, it really impressed me because I thought it was taking the documentary tradition, but it was turning it into ourselves. And, Sean turning it into himself and really making it like relatable and like something we could all be into. And so, I just wanted to share that because I know he's going to talk about other more external projects today. And so with that little introduction, let's welcome Sean Hung.
Hey, hi, everyone.
Hey there.
Really exciting to share my projects today. And yeah, and before I talk about project, I think I have to say, because I have maybe 2 years I didn't use English, so my English will be very poor. So if you can understand, please tell me.
We will ask questions, but it sounds pretty good.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, let me pause my screen.
Yeah.
Oh, just a second, let me see. Okay.
Yeah, that looks good.
Okay. Oh, hi, everyone. My name is Sean Hong, and you can see I'm graduate in last 2 years before, I think 2021. And I'm a documentary photographer. Then photographer currently living in Taiwan. I complete my MFA in AU, yes, and also I have 10 years experience about photography. Since I was in high school with simple picture, at the late time I photographed my neighborhoods, my classmates, and the school I went to. And even though my skills were very simple, I still crazy about in photography. So I want to keep learning. So after college in Taiwan, I decided to come to AU because in Taiwan there were no any school about photography. So when in AU, I learned a lot technique, and especially the history of photography. It changed my mind a lot. And yeah, this about me. So now I want to talk about my project. The first project I want to talk is called I'm Gonna Be. And yeah, I think I will share the photo first, then I will talk. Mhm. Yeah, the first one is gonna be Robert Kappa. The second
I always love these.
one.
Awesome.
It's too fast or it's okay. Because
No, it's good. You know, as we're looking at them, I'm sure you're going to get into it though, but they feel so analog. You know, like, is it truly cut and paste, or is it? Did you do this in Photoshop?
oh no, for this project, I didn't do it any Photoshop. I use handmade. I print the whole photos in CBS.
Yeah.
Oh yes, I want to show you guys how did I made these projects. And for this project, I use college way. So I tear off my face and cut the halfway of the photo
Yeah.
and combine with the famous photographer's photo and their face and combine together and become this image.
That's great. So,
Yeah.
had you worked like this previously? Like, had you done collage work before, or was this your first time trying to do this?
Oh no, I think it's my second time to doing this the college way. Yeah, second
Oh,
time.
okay.
The first time I'm using the college style, I remember it was in Connie's class.
Oh, right.
And yeah, maybe I can share that one, these photos. Give me a
Yeah.
second. Oh yeah, it's this one.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
And yeah, this one is my first college project. And the idea is from the Beatles, the starter paper.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then you got Connie in there.
Oh
You have
yeah,
all these photographers from here. Ben is in here. Kelsey. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, that's fascinating. Kiman. Roger. Oh, wow.
yeah.
Oh,
And
Great.
also for the I gonna be, and there's another concept about it because I found it's when the people when we grow up, we didn't talk our dream anymore. I think seems like everyone will shine to share their dream. So I want to use this project to remind myself, hey, you have to keep you dream and keep going.
oh, you feel that people, they forget their dreams? They let go of their dreams?
No, they are not forget, but I think they are not sharing to someone else. It seems like the dreams become personal parts, like become shiny parts.
Oh, right. Right. Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Like for example, like if I told you my dream and maybe I will afraid you are laughing me. Like
Right.
if I say, oh, I want to be a president, maybe you say, ah, this not possible. Yeah.
Right. 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 Oh, so you feel like you wanted to just state it right out front. Here is what I want to be.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, those are wonderful. So a question for the class, do you guys recognize the names of the people that you want? Oh, you don't? Do you think they're movie stars or? Yeah, yeah.
I think you said that, that's why.
Yeah, no, Robert Capa, Richard Abbott, William Eggleston, an early color photographer. He's the guy in front of the McDonald's sign. Sean is taking parts of their pictures and then putting himself in, and then putting their face on his, So it's kind of like a collage acknowledgement of the history of photography, and also kind of a way to kind of state your goals.
Yeah, that's right. So if there is no problem, then I can move to the next project I made, which is called The Prisoner.
Yeah, let's take a look at that.
And before I talk about this project, I think I will give you everyone some information about this person. And for this person, he's my mother's father, which is my grandfather. He was born in China in 1925. He took a part in World War II and Chinese Civil War. And when he retreated to Taiwan with the Kuomintang's army in 1949, he has he's now living in Taiwan for more than 17 years. But because of the war, he still felt that Taiwan is not his home. He is 97 years old now. In the eyes of others who know him, he is a happy old man. However, what other people can see the other side of him, most of his friends have passed away. No one shares his memory anymore. The world in which he grew up and struggled has disappeared. Like many old people in Taiwan, he is isolated and depressed. And I will share the photo first, and later I will say something about this project.
So how old is wait, it's your grandfather, correct?
Yes, correct.
So how
He's
old
my
is,
mother's father. Right now he's 97 years old.
oh, he's 97.
Yes,
Oh.
and in 2021 he's 95.
Okay, and you were shooting this in 2021.
Um,
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
work.
Okay.
Oh, these look beautiful. Oh, these are great. So is everything you did as a student, or are these newer images as well?
Oh no, everything I made is on before the 2021.
Okay. That's beautiful.
Sean, these are amazing.
Oh, thank you very much.
Oh, what is that?
Oh, I think that's remote control.
Oh, it is. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And this one is the last photo about this project.
Wow. That's very nice. So, well, why don't can we take some questions on this project right now?
Yeah, sure.
So, if you are on Zoom and you have questions, yeah, run through the images again, submit them to the chat. And then for my students here, I want you to look at Sean's work and formulate some questions. Does anyone have any questions they want to share? Not about this. So you're in a documentary photography class here, and we talk about access, as being something that's important. Does anybody have any questions on the access and how to navigate that kind of access?
I think it's a lot easier for him because he's already got a portfolio and some that he's already been working on. So for example, like, because he's doing documentary, he has something he can go off where, for example, like where I do landscape and travel. If he was to try and get into that, it'd probably be a little bit harder just because he doesn't have the portfolio and the experience, if that makes sense. So I think having the built up portfolio, the time and being able to sit down and connect with people and having that aspect allows you to open up doors so you can actually go in to be able to do that. That makes sense.
It does, but I would say that, do you think this guy looked at his portfolio?
Say that again.
Do you think that his grandfather looked at his portfolio?
Well, I mean, family is a little bit easier because family, you most of the time will say yes.
Interesting. Sean, do you want to elaborate on the access here? Like, what were the challenges in trying to, like, essentially get your grandfather to look like he's ignoring you? You know what I mean? Like, because it kind of feels like that kind of fly on the wall type of photography.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Could you say again the question?
Yeah, for sure. So I want you to reflect and share with the class what it was like to be able to get this type of access to your grandfather and get him comfortable with having you make these photographs where, like, I'm assuming he's never been photographed before, like that. Seems like you're there. It has that fly on the wall type of documentary approach where it seems like he's not paying attention to you. Can you elaborate on that process? Like maybe what it was like in the beginning of you trying to make these photos?
Oh, yes, no problem. I think this is really good question because I think let him ignore me. This is really hard. And at first, I remember I started as this project was in 2020 August. It's later I used DSLR, which is super big. Then every time when I take photo of him, he will always look at me and smile. Seems like he become a model. And sometimes he will say, enough, don't take photo of me, enough, too much.
Right.
So I think because at that time I spent a lot of time stay with him and eat dinner with him. I spend with him 2 nights until at the night. So maybe 1 week 3 times I spend with him, and I let him think, oh, I'm in the part of his life. So just keep doing and let him be okay. They will be fine. Like, yeah, maybe the first 3 months he will be angry or think things annoyed, but after 3 months you will be fine, I think.
Oh, interesting. So in the beginning, just to reinterpret what you said, in the beginning, he would say, oh, and you've taken enough, or he would just smile for the camera. And
Yes.
then just showing up every day is what allowed him to eventually ignore you?
Yeah, that's right.
And then, so did you shoot every day, or would you shoot like 2 days a week, or what was your shooting schedule and trying to like become invisible?
Oh, I think I'm shooting. I take photo of him every week. I have to, and even he want to going outside, I go with him, and he wants doing anything, I go with him.
Oh, right, right, right. Now, I remember seeing the project when you were working on it, and there were more scenes where he was doing things, like he was going to the market, he was talking to people. I think you might have been getting his hair cut or something like that. He was
Yes.
in society. Now, the feeling I get in looking at the photographs is something that's much more claustrophobic, if you know what I mean by that. Do you know what that word means, claustrophobic?
Oh
Like,
no, I think I don't know.
how would you, what's another word for claustrophobic?
Claustrophobic.
Yeah.
Like this year, like.
Congested, cluttered.
Yeah, well, congested, yeah, fearful in tiny spaces. Like, it looks like he's just stuck in this apartment. You know what I mean? Like, that's what you're choosing to show us, is a very small world, you know? And I'm wondering if you can comment, because really this is your story to tell, but you did choose to like make it all about the world of his apartment. Can you elaborate on that?
You mean, why did I show the audience why he live in the small apartment? It's like a correct.
Or like, I remember when you were shooting it, there were pictures of him like out on the street doing things.
Oh yeah,
His life looked a little more open, but then the series makes it really about his life in the apartment only, kind of. And I like that, and I think it fits with your title, but I'm wondering what made you make those documentary choices?
okay. Because at first when I take photo of him in outside, I think there's no concept. I just take photo of him. There's no any story, or it's hard to make a good story because seems like too many different way to talk about this story. But if I move into the inside in his apartment, the story will be very strong and audience can easily understand.
I think that makes sense. And do you grasp that? It's almost by making the story smaller, he made it easier for us to kind of enter to and relate to. Like, he didn't have to use everything he had. He just kind of chose what he wanted to do and what story he wanted to tell. He's selective. Yeah, and I liked that. Now, what about the title though? The Prisoner.
Oh yeah, the prisoner. Because when after I back to Taiwan, I visit my grandfather. I think his life seems like a prisoner. Even I have some photo, he's going to outside, but there is a family follows him. There was family follows him. The family didn't allow him going out free or by himself. So I think this seems like prisoner life. And sometimes he want to go outside. The family will say no, stay at home. So I think that's kind of prisoner life. Even he also his lifestyle seems like prisoner. He get up really early. He eats his lunch at same time. Same time eat, same time sleep. I think that's super like prisoner.
Right, right. Oh, he had this regimented lifestyle in there.
Yeah, same style.
Yeah, a lot of old people have that though too. You know, another thing I'm wondering is, and I liked the title, and because I want us all to think about that, because as the students are coming up with their own projects, a title is important. And I'm wondering what were other, I recall that you were wrestling with different titles for this project. Can you recall any of the other alternate titles?
I remember there was a title I calling A Day in the Life of the Old Man.
Oh, right, A Day in the Life of the Old Man.
Yeah, but I think that's a terrible title.
That was a terrible title. You have a question?
Yeah, how do you differentiate between your conceptual and documentary?
No,
Uh,
Differentiate between conceptual photography and documentary photography.
I'm so sorry. Can you say again?
Yeah, how do you differentiate? How do you define the line between conceptual photography and documentary photography with your artwork?
I think I didn't think about this question before. Yeah.
we're gonna put you on the spot, though. You gotta come up with an answer. See, just for me to fill in, I think that's a very valid question, because I think most documentary photographers, they just do documentary. And here with Sean, we're seeing someone who kind of does work conceptually, even if the stuff kind of feels like documentary. And so, yeah, I guess, can you reflect on like maybe how you see the difference, you know?
I'm sorry, could you type this question on the chat? I'm so sorry because I don't understand the question.
Oh, you want me to write it in the chat? Yeah, for
Yes,
sure.
thank you very much. I'm so sorry about it.
No, it's all good. What would be the simplest way to phrase this? How can you,
How can you differentiate between conceptual and documentary within your style?
yeah, okay.
I think that's a great question. Because your work with the collage was very conceptual. And this current project we're viewing really kind of bridges that line between conceptual and documentary. And I think conceptual is because your closeness to your grandfather really gives you more of an artistic interpretation rather than a documentary interpretation. One person's thoughts.
Yeah, it's wise. It's wise. Any thoughts on that?
Okay, I think I understand the question now, but honestly, before I didn't think about this way. I think sometimes I think concept and documentary, it seems like same in my opinion.
Oh, it seems like the same.
Yeah, I think it seems like the same. Yeah, because
Okay, elaborate. Yeah.
because sometimes didn't make like so many parts, like this is concept, this is documentary, this is fine arts. Yeah.
Oh, you don't differentiate. You just feel like however is best to tell the story is how you're going to tell the story.
Yes, for me, like this, I think I won't talk a story about my grandfather, so I told a story. So I think this is kind of documentary photography, maybe.
Oh, for sure. Oh, this most definitely is. Yeah. Interesting. So, okay, Steve-O, I would assume his answer is that he thinks they're the same.
Well, they're not. I mean, documentary and conceptual, generally, you're gonna come up with an idea. You're gonna come up with your concept. So for example, the first stuff that he was showing with the watches,
Yeah.
that is 100% concept.
Yeah.
Because you can see the transition in time. But you can also see how it's going from light to dark, so you have an artistic side to it. So your concept would be time and then showing it at a 10-minute interval where this is more conceptual documentary. So I'm just kind of curious on where that actual line is on how you perceive it and where you would be like, okay, this is actual concept and this is actually documentary.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. Yeah, we may not get an answer. Yeah, I think that he sees it as one. Yeah, that's interesting, Sean. So you kind of see where he's coming from, that like conceptual and documentary are usually like polar opposites, you know. But I guess maybe my question to you with the prisoner story is, did you always know you wanted to do it in the documentary style? Or did you feel like you wanted to do something on your grandfather and it could have been conceptual, it could have been documentary, it could have been a variety of things?
Yeah, I think it could be anything. And I think when I start this project, I know what image I want.
Oh, okay, you knew what images you want.
Yes, because the whole story I think is already in my brain, because my style, which is really simple. I want to record his whole day, begin the morning until the night, just a day. And because I want to show the audience how boring he got a really boring life.
Oh, how boring it was,
Yeah.
how mundane it was. Here's my question to the class. Do you feel that this project accurately like touched on like that boredom and that monotony and that kind of like, you know, the small world of an old person's life? Absolutely. Yeah, I actually really like the repetition of him reading the newspaper over and over, sitting in that seat with slight differentiations. I love that as like a repeating theme, like, because I feel like we've all sat in a room with like an elderly grandparent and it's like the same thing. And we're so used to like texting our friends and going out and doing things and like having a dynamic life. And it's so much slower here. And then I think I remember, Sean, when you yourself were doing this project, you thought his life was boring compared
Yes,
to
that's right.
your own vibrant life. Yeah, I think old people have different expectations of what makes a day exciting, though, you know. I do remember one comment on this, you know, when we were just looking at the grandfather was, I think you said that the remote control was his best friend.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Yeah, I wanted the project to be called that. The remote control is my best friend,
I
but
like that, that's awesome.
there was many titles being thrown around, you know. This is really cool to see in, you know, in retrospect, like having been away from it for a couple years here. Let me see.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I have a question. So what kind of light did you use, Sean? Did you use a strobe?
Oh, you mean the for lighting, right?
Yeah, the kind of light you use, yes.
Oh, for the lighting, usually I use this light, the table lamp and nature light.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Why
Because-
did you choose that? Yeah. Why did you just use natural light or available light?
Because that's his real life. I don't want to use any flashlight or speed lights to change the light of him.
Yeah.
Because I think I'm trying to show to the audience the real life of him.
Yeah. Yeah. What it feels like.
Well, I mean, if you was to use artificial light, you're gonna change the contrast of everything, because you're not gonna have that so real look.
Yeah. 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 I always think like in situations like this, let's have a picture of him reading the newspaper. Like that. I always think that when you shoot natural light in something like this, it captures the chaos feeling.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is, okay, it looks like there's just one light source, but really there's other things. There's like available light, on the far right that's kind of filling things in. There's this light that's kind of lighting his ear and kind of backlighting some of the newspaper, but then there's some lamp or something over here that's, putting light this way, causing the shadow on this. And, so it's a mix of, it's almost like if I shot in here right now, we would have the light coming through that window, the light coming through this window. Oh, there's some light out in the hallway that's lighting Matt and Jessica. And so that kind of mix of natural light creates this chaos that a lot of times when you light something, like say he bounced a strobe against the ceiling, it would kind of suddenly make it just very neutral and you just kind of get the data, Yeah, I thought this worked out well. So was it spaces, like technically, were you shooting at like 3200 or something, or like, what's the nature? Were you shooting at a high ISO?
Oh no, I think there's 800. I think
Yeah,
800 ISO.
yeah. Interesting. Interesting. And then another question that came in here is, how long did this project take you to create? The Prisoner, like how long did you shoot this for?
I think almost, because I started to shooting with my grandfather since 2020 August until now, because right now I still take photo of him. I think almost 3 years.
Oh, that's a healthy amount of time.
Almost
Yeah.
3 years.
Right, right. No, that is it. Every long project I've done, it always has been that type of time, And then from Winston Stewart, he has a question. He goes, was the DSLR shutter loud? If so, was it problematic? Would you recommend a leaf shutter?
Because my grandfather, his ear has some problem, so he can't hear the shutter sound.
Oh, so it was no problem at all.
Yes, no problem. No, but I remember when I going to the 2021, I changed my camera. I'm using Fuji Films X100F, which is tiny camera. I think that's better because faster and smaller. Because when I use DSLR, he will look at me. Sometimes he will look at me. It's really bad. So sometimes I think tiny camera is better than DSLR.
Right.
It's
right.
Leica is the best choice, but too expensive.
Yeah. So this is digital though, correct?
Yeah, digital.
Yeah, for sure. Before we move on to the next kind of project, which is really an extension of this, does anybody else have a question on this? And think of your own projects, because you're all going to be called upon to be doing a documentary project. Does anybody have any questions? Like maybe what a challenge would be or what a pitfall would be? Like how did your family, did they like these photos? Did they dislike them? Like, was there any backlash? Because shooting family is a thing, Save your question, we'll come back. Yeah, Sean.
Yes, for my family, and they hate this project because they think I shows the ugly things to everyone. Because I think in Asian people, in Asian minds, they don't want to share the family things to other people. They think this could be a secret.
Oh, right. So they thought you were exposing his like sad life or small life.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. How did you react to that?
Because in Taiwan, there are many elderly people like my grandfather. So I think that's common for every Taiwanese, but they wouldn't talk about this question. I think that's pretty weird. Why these things seem kind of bad? I don't think so. I think it doesn't matter about to share to somebody else. But for the old generation, they think this is ugly things. Yeah.
Oh, right. No, I see that. Yeah, Steve.
I have another question.
Oh,
Oh,
let's see.
sorry.
Wait,
Oh.
you'll be next. We have one here.
How would you define your artwork in a way where do you feel like you're almost exploiting in a way without
Good
exploiting?
Yeah.
Like, how would you define that within it, I guess?
Oh, with what? Exposure?
Exploiting?
Oh, exploiting, like
Right,
exploitation.
Yeah,
Here, I'll put the word in the chat.
Oh, thank you very much.
sure.
It is a very common word in photography.
And then my
Yeah, nice
second,
to learn English more.
and then my second one would be is if you didn't have your grandfather to do this project, how would you go about accomplishing this project? If you had to use someone outside of your family members?
I'm so sorry, Tim. Could you type the question on the chat?
Yeah, no, we'll define it here. So, and we've talked about this in class before. How would you guys define exploitation?
That's a little harsh.
Yeah.
Personal profit.
Oh, okay. Using someone for personal gain or showing someone negatively for,
I think it comes down to the individual.
Well,
Using
let's try to
somebody as a
find-
means to an end.
oh, using someone for a means to an end. And like, say, in my case, a project I did on my son who was autistic and young, you know, there were people who were saying like, well, you are exploiting him. You are using his disadvantaged status to elevate your career or your, you know, whatever that is, you know. And I didn't deny it really, but so do you have thoughts on that? Like, because that is a common debate in documentary photography, is the idea of like, are we sharing someone's story, or are we kind of showing them in a bad light in a way without regard for their feelings, maybe? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. So my question for Sean was that when he was taking the photos at the higher ISO, like ISO 800, where the image is grainy? You know that usually happens when you're shooting at the higher ISO.
Oh, that's a
Hello?
good point.
Noise.
Yeah. Did you hear that, Sean?
I think I didn't hear really well.
Oh, okay. Judy asked, when you were shooting at a high ISO, were your pictures grainy?
Picture screen? You mean change?
Grainy, like noisy, like,
Were you
Oh.
introduced?
Yeah.
Oh yes, I think it doesn't matter because gritty or the noise, it doesn't bother me, I think. Sometimes I think I love the noise feeling. Seems like make photos seems like film.
Oh, yeah, a little more impactful or something like. So then the other question that we keep kind of going around is that idea of like, did people accuse you of exploiting your grandfather, like using your grandfather's situation for your own success or something? What was that something your family accused you of?
Oh no, every time I'm shooting with my grandfather, we out the family. I stay with him alone. Only me and my grandfather. I don't want other families come to bother us.
Oh, yeah, you guys were just there together. Yeah, I think that's a hard question to answer.
It also kind of
Yeah.
connects me to your other work. I think it's called The Other Side of the American Dream. Do you feel like you're exploiting homeless?
Did you hear that question?
Oh, I hear the other side of American dream, and
Oh, so say your question again, just louder and more clearly.
Yeah, Sean, Nick, so kind of piggybacking on the exploitation aspect, you feel like you were exploiting in your series the other side of the American dream when you're taking photos of the disadvantaged? And did you feel, I don't know, did you get, I won't say heat from that? Yeah. Did you feel like you were exploiting them?
I'm not sure. Actually, for honest, I'm so sorry because my English level will be very poor. So I think I need someone to type on the chat, then I can answer the question.
Oh, okay, let's see. Here, I'll rephrase it.
So I feel like it's a question we ask every class.
Oh, we do, yeah, no, always. Let me rephrase it without using that word exploitation, which it seems like it doesn't translate. Let's see, let's try this, Sean. Are there?
I think my EAP teacher is crying.
Let's see, do you feel there are ethical issues in photographing homeless people?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm putting it in the chat now. Do you feel there are ethical issues in photographing homeless people?
Another extreme example would be like Bruce Gilden.
It's called the other side of the American dream. I'm trying to find it.
Yeah, and I guess
Yeah, the other side of the American dream.
so I guess let me try to rephrase it a little bit. The idea is like, is it fair for us to be photographing homeless people, and are we sharing how their plight, or are we maybe taking advantage of them? Like, do you have any thoughts on that? Because that is in documentary photography, every class is like debating that.
May I answer the question?
Yeah.
Oh yes, because at first time when in 2017, the first time being in San Francisco, I saw a lot of homeless. At the later, I think I don't want to take photo of homeless because I think that's not good. I just using the homeless to make a project. But until the 2020, since I made the other side of American dream, I think they doesn't matter because they are over there. I just bring the problem to public to show everyone that, hey, the problem is here. You can see, and maybe I can let audience to think about why America have a lot of homeless. You are the most powerful country in the world, but why in this big city there's a lot of homeless?
Yeah. I mean, it is interesting. Every time I meet a student who comes in for the first semester from China, they are always like, what the hell is going on with this? And then even people who visit me from the East Coast and come to San Francisco, they're like, what the hell is going on with the homeless people? Then the other day I was like in front of the school, and these people who had flown here for vacation to see a football game stopped me and said, we want to go to Chinatown. Do you think it's safe? And I'm like, yeah, it's safe. And then I'm like, where did you just go? And they said, it was terrible. They dropped us off in this place. And I was like, was it the Tenderloin? And they were like, yeah, it was that, and they're like, we're going to go to Chinatown, then we're out of here. We're going back to Boise or whatever it was. And so it is true, like not just foreigners, but even Americans are shocked when they come to San Francisco,
And even you don't take photo to the homeless, they're still living there. The problem is put some on the street. Yes, so maybe I think take photo of them is okay, but I don't like some people like take photo of the homeless, just make fun of them or post on Instagram, say, hey, see, here's a homeless, he can steal the scooter. or see some homeless like pee on the street. I don't like that.
Right, right, right. Oh,
Just
interesting.
depend the subjects.
Right, right. Yeah, Nick.
When you took these photos for the other side of the American dream, did you have an audience in mind, or you just want to show people, you know, that it's not all what it cracks up to be?
Oh, sorry, can you say again the last words?
Yeah, so when you took these images, did you have a specific audience in mind, or did you want to show people that America isn't, you know, what all it says it is or appears to be?
Appears to be. Oh, sorry, what does appears to mean? So
Oh, that maybe the homelessness breaks the stereotype of America being a great place.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're wondering when you made those pictures in the about were they in the Tenderloin? The project?
yeah, that's tenderloin.
Yeah, what was the goal? Was the goal to like show that like the dark side of America? Or like who was the audience?
Oh, I think that I didn't think about the audience part, but maybe some people will see the photo, they might think, oh, that's a dark part. But I remember when I take photo of in the tenderloins, I found that actually there's not terrible. There are a lot of nice people living there. And I remember me and Roger, we are taking photo in Tenderloin. There are some homeless told us, say, hey, be careful here, it's very dangerous. And when you take photo to somebody else, you have to ask. And they even say, if you got any problem, you can find me. I can help you. And
Right.
even I think I saw there are a lot of different race living in Tenderloin, even like Middle Eastern and Asians and I think Mexicans.
Oh,
They
in
are,
New York, extremely diverse.
oh yes, they are living in the Tenderloin and actually really peaceful. But just a few people they doing drug over there, but I think they have to.
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah, no, interesting.
I think, oh sorry,
Oh no, go on, go on.
I'm not sure because may I share some
Yeah.
photo when I
Yeah.
take photo in Tenderloin. Oh, because I think I got right now.
I have another question. So if you took photo of your grandfather and if you converted it to black and white, would it be more impactful?
Oh, I think this is a very good question because at first I was thinking about black and white, but I think black and white seems a little bit too traditional because nowadays, why don't I try some color image for documentary photography? And also I can let audience to see the color of his life.
Okay,
No, that makes sense.
thank you.
And
Makes sense.
I
So-
can share this image.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
Okay, let me find this. Yeah, I think the people they living in Tenderloin, they're trying to get a job, they're trying to live. Then actually at first I go into Tenderloin. I want to find something which is very bad. I found it. Some of Asian people they will took the food which is free. Some organization will give the food to homeless. but some Asian people like took the food and sell them.
Oh, they take the food and sell it? Is that what you said?
Yeah, that's
Oh.
the first story I want to tell, but I found it's really hard. For example, like them.
Hmm.
There, I know what he's talking about. So down by, where the train station is,
Yeah.
every night, the Asian people will go down there and then they lay out the rugs and a bunch of food that they have to try and get rid of before it goes bad and they sell it to the homeless.
Yes.
Christopher Bingham, are you still there? You just put something in the chat about
Yes.
about voyeurism and documentary. Do you want to elaborate on that?
You know, I look back to my growing as a photographer, and it's really easy to be seduced by the interesting aspects of the soft underbelly of humanity. And so back to the question of exploiting, you know, taking a candid photograph of somebody that's homeless and is exploitive unless you're really engaging with them. And so, and for me, that's kind of like the difference in between documentary and voyeuristic photography is you know, having an engagement where there's a consent or there's at least a knowledge that they're being photographed. I mean, street photography is you know, when it's more about the scene, it's different than it's when it becomes about the person.
Yeah, it's such a hard line to define,
It is.
really. Yeah, because street photography is a genre, you know what I mean? And street photography is about, you know, finding the poetry on the streets, you know what I mean? And not like stopping and talking to someone necessarily. But no, I know what
Yeah, I don't view street photography as exploitive because you are creating, it's not like you are engaging somebody's misfortune for your own gain. You are looking at the whole scene, and that is part of the irony within the scene. So it's, you know, but it's, I mean, it's something that I had to learn in my own photography of getting close to the subject, because that's when the work becomes meaningful. If it's not artistic in the whole composition.
Oh, interesting. This is a beautiful photograph here. This actually feels joyful, you know?
Oh yes, this one is my favorite photo. Let me think about everyone can live together in America and peaceful. And in this project, I think in San Francisco, there are a lot of hotel, but no place for homeless. I think that's weird because in this month, US, they say they will support Taiwan 6.5 million to buy some weapons. Yeah, so I think America.
Yeah, no, definitely challenges in America. Hey, before we move on to your next project, does anybody else have any questions on that? Oh yeah, Nick.
No question, but I just want to say I love your title of it. I think we were talking in our class a couple classes ago how photography, well, I think photography is moving to a direction where people want people from that community to capture that community, and not have people from the outside come into that community and capture it. So yeah, I think your title definitely trumps that, you know, because this is your experience, this is your view of the American dream, and the other side of the American dream allows you to come from the outside in, because that's something that you weren't expecting. So your title was spot on. I like it.
Good comment. Good comment, for sure. Hey, let's see the other oh, these are, I didn't realize you did this so elaborately, this project. These are real beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. No, a lot of those images I didn't know. Hey, let's take a look at what you're doing right now.
Okay. Okay, let me share the screen. Okay, so this is a photo before the prisoner, I spent time with my grandfather. Even he went to the traditional market and even to the beach. And I bought the old Chinese military uniform for him and letting memory something about when he was in war, and I think he like it. And every
Oh, yeah.
time he hold a gun, he felt so exciting like children. And right now I'm doing the personal part too, because then in last year, my grandfather, he stroke. And when he stroke, I take photo of him and I already called the ambulance.
So you were hanging out with him and he had the stroke and you knew what to do?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I called the ambulance first and take a photo.
Right.
And it's my first time to see the people is really trying to live, because I can hear his breath very, very hard, very loud. And I call him, oh, Grandpa, keep breathing. The ambulance just coming.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And for second part, I changed to black and white. There's a reason, because when he struck, reminded me the life before him living in his small apartment seems like not so bad. Because when he struck, it seems like he moved to the cage in his body.
He moved to the cage of his body? Is that what you
Yes,
said?
yes, like he betrayed him in his body. He can't move anymore, and he can talk.
Right. He can talk or he cannot talk?
He cannot talk.
Oh.
Yeah, he can't move. He can't talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's super terrible. And lead him back to his apartment.
Oh, wow.
And sometimes we have to control his hand, because he his right hand, which is he only can move his right hand.
Oh, wow.
So the family have to control, because there's a tiny stroke in his stomach. It's so terrible.
Oh, these are very beautiful.
I think it'd be interesting to have both the series as one.
Oh, both the series as one?
Yeah. Because you're showing his life before. And then you're showing a major dramatic change from it going from what it was normal. To what it was like after having a major event happen, especially as the elderly happened. But it brings in light of a major problem, not that it's a problem, but it's a reality that we're all gonna face, which is essentially death. We're always close to death, right? And so it shows that, regardless of age or anything can happen. And it'd be really interesting to see them all together as one entire series, because you have the first part where he's up, he's moving, he's walking to the market, and then that dramatic change to dark drama. And especially because the first series in color and then this series in black and white, I think it would complement each other, especially seeing it all together as one.
Oh, yeah. These are great photographs in a lot of ways. Wait, go back one. That's great. With the way the spaces broke up and the composition and all of those things. How are the question for the class, not for Sean, but as we look at this little chapter in black and white, what's different? Besides the obvious.
I was gonna say it's more dramatic.
It feels like Sean was with the patient every day, taking the documentary his everyday life as he deteriorates, deteriorates in his condition.
Oh, as he deteriorates, yeah, in these conditions.
Yeah, this documentary, and I think the black and white images is very dramatic.
Oh, yeah.
Very
The-
dramatic. It tells the story. It's very raw. It's very raw.
It's more raw and it's more urgent. And so here, Jessica, the still life photographer, what, how are these pictures different? Carmen, you're next.
I feel like a little sense of dread with a little hope. It, we see his struggle and how he's trying to live.
I would say that last sentence, like, he seems like he's trying to connect with the photographer now. Can you
Yeah.
go back a couple pictures? There's ones where he's staring at.
Looking at the camera.
Yeah, looking at the camera, he's so close and you're so close to him. Where the first chapter was almost like, oh, well, he's here and I'm not really paying attention to him and I'm just gonna read the newspaper, you know? And there's like a tranquility of those first images, where here it almost feels like there's like a fight to live or something like that, and to connect. Do you think they're radically different, Sean?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, you feel like it's all the same?
Yes.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, let's see the rest of them.
Okay.
And I thought they were just bolder and more raw, like Judy said, you know what I mean? Like, they're tangible right there in your face. Wow.
And this time he got COVID last month.
Oh,
And he's still okay, and he didn't get any vacuum.
right.
Sometimes I think he's kind of like Iron Man, because when he was in war, he got a shot, and also he got a stomach cancer, so doctor removed his whole stomach, and also his stroke, and also he got COVID. He's still alive.
Wow. Oh yeah, he will never die.
Yeah, this is the last image.
Go back through them again and wait, there's another comment?
It has the feel of like, it shows him trying to, the struggle of survivability, right? That struggle to, okay, I'm gonna fight to try and stay alive, and even though he's up there in age, he's still putting up a good fight.
It feels that way to me.
Because you look at it, he was good, he had the remote and everything, and then the stroke happened, and then. Depending on how long he was back at home, then he got COVID and now he's going back and he's fighting.
Yeah,
You can definitely see that.
yeah. It also seems to me like, Sean, you're trying more actively to make a compositionally strong photograph.
Oh, yeah.
Would you agree? Like,
Yeah,
because
I totally agree.
in the apartment, it seemed like you were just willing to stand back and show us what was happening there without actively making an interesting photo, if you know what I mean. Like, where here it seems like you're cutting up space in interesting ways and the compositions are interesting. And then there is stuff happening. So there's more to kind of actively work with, you
It's like
know?
there's a connection.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I make the stories smaller. Like in last part one, I focusing on his apartment with him and with his lifestyle. And for this one, part two, I think I just focusing on him.
Right.
His face or his bed, like be more smaller.
Yeah. Keep going back, because there was a couple that were just compositionally beautiful. Now that one's obviously hard to look at, but there were some that had moments of kind of medical serenity or something. Not that one, but
It kind of makes me think of, I can't think of the artist, it was an old, I think it was during Vietnam. Where there was a photojournalist who captured the reality of the war, where there was essentially this naked boy running down the road while
Oh, yeah.
there's napalm in
Oh,
the
yeah.
background
Yeah.
blowing up.
Yeah.
Right, it has that surreal feeling to it and showing the reality.
yeah, for sure. Now this simple image here, let's go back one and I'll just point this out to my class. Like, you know, a telling detail. And look how it breaks up the series too. Like it allows us to rest from some of the medical urgency and just focus on a detail. And then that image, absolutely beautiful. And there's like an art to it and a kind of beautiful composition and almost a piece to it, even though it's, you know, obviously unpleasant.
I find the second series much more documentary, and I find the first series more conceptual. I think it's how much Sean has inserted himself into the story, and I think that once he's had a stroke, there's a sense of urgency where it's no longer taking the time to edit out parts of the day. And here you are now in his life and the end of his life, and you know, it's the artistic aspect of the documentary is just, I'm just stunned by it.
Yeah. No, these past three, go back one, the one where he's in the wheelchair. That's very beautiful and it's still empathetic, I think, and the light is very beautiful. Yeah, you know, I mean, it reminds me, so my dad lived to 94, and I thought he'd be an old man. I thought the end of his life would be like The Prisoner Part 1, like a peaceful guy chilling in his house watching TV or something. But the end wasn't. It was like this. You know what I mean? Like it had urgency and it had terror and horror to it, you know? And so, yeah, I think it's kind of interesting to see these things kind of shown kind of poetically, you know?
I think it comes back to what he was saying earlier, making that connection, right? When we were talking about the fine line and everything, and how he was talking about, you know, the homeless and, you know, exploiting and all that, and then making that connection to understand that you are being photographed and stuff like that. I feel like this one, the second series, he has more of a connection with them versus where he's like a fly on the wall doing an overview. It's more raw and organic in its own way.
Yeah, no, I would agree with all of that. Let's see if there's any other questions in the chat, because I haven't looked at the chat for a while. Winston Stewart says, I wonder if you felt a sense of urgency while capturing specifically this part 2 of The Prisoner. Does that make sense?
Yes. I think it totally makes sense. I think it felt make people seem like a little bit nervous feeling for the Prisoner Part 2. I'm not sure nervous is a good word. Yeah, like let people seem more narrow, like trying to make audience like sense stay with him, trying to make this feeling.
Say that again. Like they felt sorry for him or sympathetic to him, or is that what you're saying?
Oh, I mean, I want to for the chess on the. Yes, I agree with the chess. The Western, he said. Yes.
Oh, a sense of urgency.
Oh, urgency, yes.
So, I mean, it definitely was like, I mean, and this is something I kind of want to bring up with my class too, is like in the beginning, in Prisoner 1, nothing really happened, you know? And there is that universal question for all of your projects, like, what if nothing happens in your chosen thing? You know, what if it's like, you know, here we've had students talk about Boris was going to do something at a cafeteria and there'd be a lot of things happening, a lot of people moving around and a lot of activity. And then sometimes there are stories you'll choose to do that won't really have anything happening, you know? And how, like, to me, it's almost like The Prisoner 2. These photos are amazing and will grab people's attention, but suddenly there was a lot going on and it seemed like you had your content delivered to you in a way, you know what I mean? Like which would you say was harder for you to shoot? Was it prisoner 1 or prisoner 2?
I think prisoner 1 is harder. Yeah, prisoner 1 was harder than prisoner 2. Because
Yep.
prisoner 2, I don't need to care about my grandfather. I just shoot, and find the angles and find the moments. But the
Yeah.
prisoner 1, I have to hope with him and take care with him and discover my grandfather's lifestyle and follow his lifestyle. Yeah. So I
Right.
think prisoner part 1 is harder.
Oh, prisoner part 2, you were just shooting the pictures. You didn't have to like ask him if it's okay, or you didn't have to like
Yeah,
share
and
or
I think
interpret life.
part 2 is more about the feeling, I think, because sometimes when someone change his diaper and then I taking photo of him, I felt a little bit sorry, but I do really want to catch the moment. Yeah.
Oh, you got to figure out when to be tactful or how to tactfully tell these things.
Yeah, actually, I took a lot of photo like someone changed his diaper, but I didn't show out. But because I think if when I get old like him, someone change my poop, someone clean my poop, and there's another guy taking photo of me, they will be really uncomfortable.
I will arrange for a student in the year 2060 to photograph you in the hospital at that point. I already have feelers out to kindergartens. No, this is good, Sean. So I guess the obvious question is, what's next for this project?
Oh, I plan to shoot with him until he die. I already plan how to shoot his funeral. I want to use colors. Because
you want-
because for me, I think when he passed away, he might be free, like he can out of the cage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. So what would you like to do with this project? Because it definitely is going to have chapters. Like here, it has a first chapter, it has this middle chapter, you're planning the last chapter. Do you want this to be a book or an exhibition, or have you thought that far?
Oh, actually, I want to make a book. Yeah, so I plan there's 3 chapters. Chapter 1 is about his lifestyle, like the part 1, and part 2 is about his stroke, and part 3 I want to document his funeral.
Oh, interesting. Interesting. No, I think you're set for that.
Like the body and burning become a bone. Yeah, like people's lifestyle, people's how to say, how should I say this one? Oh, you can see the people when he healthy, but his life is boring. But when he gets stroke and when he pass away and burning only like a bone, I think that might be really interesting.
Oh, they're going to burn the body?
Oh
Is that what-
yes.
Cremation.
Oh, interesting. Interesting. No, I think that'll be fascinating. Yeah, in your hands. All right, Sean, I think that's it. Does anybody have any questions by the end? And let's, if anybody on Zoom has any questions for Sean. Oh, I guess I have an obvious question. So when you graduated and returned to Taiwan, how was it challenging to stay connected to photography?
Actually, I think that's really hard to be a photographer in Taiwan. For example, me and Roger and Cindy, we are 3 out Taiwanese, but only Cindy, she find a photography's job.
Oh, all 3 of you are great. She's great, but you guys are great too. Oh, so interesting. What is her job?
I think it's Korean style portrait. She's become a portrait photographer.
Right, right. Oh, interesting. And so yourself and Roger are looking for jobs?
Actually, I plan myself. I want to finish my grandfather's projects. Then I want to make a book and see maybe I can make a exhibition for him, for me.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm sure you can. I think you could show it there. You could show it in the US for sure, for sure.
Because everyone will have to face to get old. And
Oh.
maybe some people will like my grandfather, and I want that people think about this situation.
Oh, yeah, no, aging is universal for sure. No, that's very good. Excellent. All right, Sean, thank you for being our guest artist. It was great to see you and your work. And the new work is the best ever. And I love the new chapter. And it caught me by surprise. And visually, it had a maturity to it that I think your earlier photos didn't have. And it was such a great addition to this, current body of work. Great work. Great work.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we will be in touch, Sean. More. Thank you for jumping in on this, and thank you, Sean.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Sean.